shame. 1, 2, 3, stretch them out at the own. Oh, yeah.
Hello, folks. It's opening day here at PAX for breakfast. Well, it's opening day for us, but opening day was actually on Thursday, and really excited to get back into the baseball season. Tons of games to watch. Got a long year of baseball ahead of us. We're only two, three, four, five, some depending. I mean, each team's got a different number of games played. Here in Colorado, we are unfortunately Rockies fans, and they've only played two games because Tampa Bay had to move to Steinbrenner Field, the Yankees facility, because of the hurricane. It affected Tropicana Field, so we got to see them open their season on Friday, and well, they lost. Shocker. Walk-off home run in the ninth. That's what we expect to see on opening day from the Rockies, unfortunately, but at least we got baseball to watch. Uh, Definitely excited about opening day. Today we have 2000 opening day and 2019 opening day. Now, those are 19 years apart, I understand. We decided that we were going to just look at some differences between the 2 years, kind of see the progression of what the baseball cards have come to from 2000, the turn of the century, to 2019, when you got young Aaron Judge and young Shohei on the front of the cover. But let's ask Randy, how are you doing today?
It's like, well, I'm doing well. It's like because the Rockies did at least win yesterday, so they're 1-1. They're 500. And it's funny because it's like I saw a whole bunch of stuff. There was a guy that did a video about the nightmare that Tropicana Field is going to be for the Rays and their scheduling, because they're trying to schedule so many of their home games before the super rainy season, which is like June, July, and August in Florida. So they've got like 40 some out of 50 or 60 games in their early season. That's home games. And then they end the season playing 70 of 103 on the road.
Wow.
So, I mean, 70% of their games are on the road to finish off their season. But he did also say that Tropicana Field, or not Tropicana, Steinbrenner Field's amenities are at their locker rooms and stuff are actually better than the Trops. So it's like it's kind of an upgrade and a little bit of a downgrade, but it's like, oh, it just you got to feel bad for the Rays because it's not those players' fault, but this is the conditions they've been handed.
Well, it's kind of they'll make it through. They're obviously professionals, but I can imagine the Yankees probably spend more money on their even their practice facility than the Rays spend on anything to do with Tropicana Field, just based on the market and the team. Uh, so that maybe they'll enjoy it more. It might be a little bit of a bummer later when they have to travel, but I imagine other stadiums are probably better than their field as well.
Well, they it's got Steinbrenner's name on it, so it has to be a monument to the Yankees. But they're not the only team. There's going to be two teams this year that play in minor league stadiums, which is something you just rarely see. But that Steinbrenner Field, I will say this: Senzatella pitched yesterday, and you and I were talking about this before we got on. Senzatella gave up 9 hits, 2 walks, no strikeouts, but gave up no runs in 4 1/3 innings. Um, the last time that anybody pitched fewer than 5 innings and had a line like that was July 21st, 1922, 103 years ago.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, because it's like I found this article, it's like where they were talking about nobody has seen a game like this in 103 years. And I'm going, wow.
Sounds about right in the grand scheme of the Rockies.
Yeah, it sounds like what a Rockies pitcher would accomplish. He doesn't get a win, but boy, he sure has a line nobody else has had for over a century.
Well, and I was seeing right before the opening day, I saw a stat that said that if the Rockies were to win the first game, it would be the first time they were over 500 since April of 2023. So they went they went 2 full seasons basically without even being over 500, which
Yeah.
seals their irrelevance. I understand why nobody cares about the Colorado Rockies, but they like our mascot apparently. So, what do we say?
Well, it was funny because it's like I was watching. There was a guy on YouTube called Urinating Tree, and he talks about every team, and he kind of talks about their prospects for the season. But when he gets to the Rockies, and he's done this for 3 or 4 straight years, he really says nothing. So this time he had SpongeBob and Patrick. They both had Rockies logos over their faces. And SpongeBob goes, Magic Conch Shell, please tell us what we should do, and the conch shell says nothing, and it's like, and then Patrick goes, the conch shell has spoken, we will do nothing. And then it's like, Squidward comes on and goes, you can't just do nothing. And they're just kind of staring at him. It's like, yeah, that's the Rockies for you.
And it's so funny. I'm gonna do this last little rant before we go into the openings, but I was checked out of baseball for the last couple of years, to be honest, because I got really upset about the cheating stuff that went on with the pitchers, with the Stickum a couple of years ago, and then COVID hit, and it was all that. I just lost interest in it. Okay, so I lost my train of thought. Oh, so one of the things that happened while I wasn't paying attention to baseball was Chris Bryant got signed by the Rockies. Now, Randy, that I am not a Chris Bryant fan.
Yep.
And he got paid a lot of money to come here, and everybody thought he was going to be this superstar. And
I did not.
okay, I shouldn't say everybody.
Not everybody.
There were a lot of people excited to see Chris Bryant here.
Yes, there was. Absolutely, there was.
Okay, I get some flack in the comments when I do my short videos about whenever I get a Chris Bryant card, it gets chucked, right? Because,
yep.
Boo, he's kind of my Matt Williams. Okay, so I just want to point out that I'm 100% correct. You know what he did in the first game? He struck out a bunch. So everybody who thought that Chris Bryant was going to be a saver, you're dumb.
Well, it's like, your little rant is definitely appropriate. So right now, Chris Bryant is 0 for 8 with 3 strikeouts. That is his contribution to the Rockies, making $18+ million a year, whatever it is that he's making. That is his contribution to the Rockies. 0 for 8 with 3 strikeouts. And his contributions before that are not better. So he's been abysmal. He's been hurt. It's everything that we thought he would be, because we knew that he was at the end of his career and he was an injury-prone guy. And it's like, it was not a good signing, and the Rockies gave him. They just don't know how, when they spend money, they don't know how to do it properly. They just don't pay the right guys. So now you got to hope that Tovar, Toglia, Doyle, guys like that really actually come through, and then they can pay them and keep those guys around. And maybe Senzatella doesn't give up 9 hits to have no runs. But I'll tell you this, I like our starting pitching staff if they don't have to go into the bullpen, because I like Marquez, I like Freeland, I like Feltner, I like Senzatella, and I like Gomber even going 5. Don't put Gomber at 6, because when he gets to the third time in the lineup, he gets lit up. But 5 innings, Gomber is usually pretty decent. So it's like I like our starting 5. It's our bullpen I'm sad about.
Yeah, the bullpen's not not good. Not we're not gonna say anything yet, but it's generally the weak spot of our team. Also, the starting pitchers are not terrible. I like Marquez. I like Senzatella. Kyle Freeland is a hometown favorite. But the Gomber was one of the guys that I was really excited to get when they traded Arenado to St. Louis, because he was a pretty solid guy. But you're right. After the second time through, he kind of falters a little bit.
Yeah. But in last year, the reason I like Feltner, because last year, if you look at like the last 10 starts of Feltner's, he was actually pitching pretty well. It was the bullpen that would let him down and why he didn't have more wins. But Feltner pitched pretty well. I was pretty excited about Feltner going into this season, and I don't think he did too bad in the spring. So I like our starting 5. They're not going to light the world on fire, but I think if our bullpen was better, I think this team legitimately could win 90. I really do, because I think the starting lineup is good enough. The hitters need to warm up a bit. Maybe trade Chris Bryant for an actual hitter. I don't know.
Nah,
He's got no trade. He's got no trade value.
Nobody wants him. Come on, dude.
No.
All right. Well, that's enough rants. We will.
Yeah, we've ranted for quite a while.
At least we have actual baseball to talk about now, which is kind of exciting.
That's the cool part.
Well, let's get into this. Randy, I'm going to let you pick this week. What do you want to start with? You want to start with 2000, or do you want to jump into 2019?
You know what? Hit us with a 2019. Let's go with the newer set.
All right. The great Randy has spoken. Here we go. We got 2019 opening day. I think I actually have a little collection of these already.
It is funny that it's only 7 cards, though. But
yeah,
it's like the 2019s that, it was the year before COVID. It was the year before the world. Actually, it was based on 2018. But, we didn't even know about COVID when these things came out. So the world was a different place then. So, but the world was about to burn.
Well, we're going to start out with Joey Votto. Fan favorite there in Cincinnati. Great player.
Yeah, very good player.
And then we got Matt Duffy for the Rays. Matt Davison for the White Sox. Fairly still irrelevant.
It's like, oh, we're doing some Matts here. Hey, look, opening day.
Opening day for the Detroit Tigers. You got Jimenez, Iglesias jumping up and down. They must have won that day.
Had they signed Baez yet? I don't think they had Baez yet on their team.
Ooh,
not in that year.
There's another one of my least favorite players, but we got Miguel Andujar as a all-star rookie.
Well, at least it's not Wander Franco.
Not yet.
Well, let's hope we don't find any of those.
You got Joey Lucchesi. I'm trying to remember. I think Joey Lucchesi and Nolan Arenado actually fought once. I believe it was Joey Lucchesi and him, and I think he was either throwing at Nolan or I can't remember the situation, but I remember they actually went to blows in a game.
You don't see a lot of fights anymore.
And we'll end that pack on Dakota Hudson. He was a pretty good starter for the. I don't know. Like I said, I checked out after the 2019 season, so I don't know how he ended up. But this is his rookie card. There you go.
You know, I'll tell you, I don't know why, but I've always kind of liked the name Dakota. I don't know why that is, but I like the name Dakota.
Did you own a Dodge Dakota at some point?
You know what? I wanted to own a Dodge Dakota. I really did, but I never owned one.
All right, now we're going to go to 2000, which you can tell the difference. Like they do a much more highlighted card in the 90s, in the 2019 set, as far as like the way that they framed the pictures, and they added like the team celebrations, and definitely a different pack, different era. But we'll start out with Jeremy Burnitz. And the thing I like about the 2019 is you can actually read the cards.
You don't like the little silver, the chrome.
Chrome foil, no.
Yeah, it's the chrome that always messes with the camera.
And we got Tino Martinez, always fun to watch.
Damn Yankee.
Jeff Kent for the Giants.
You know, I liked Jeff Kent. I mean, it's like he was a guy that was a good. I mean, I can't remember. I think he batted either in front of or just behind Barry Bonds. You know, he was either always the number 5 hitter or the number 3 hitter, but either way, he was great protection for Bonds. But he still got walked more than anybody else in history.
He was a chunkier guy for a second baseman as well.
Yeah, I always like. Look, he's got another second baseman behind him. Isn't that Biggio?
That looks like Biggio. Then you got Joe McEwing for the Cardinals. Oh, he's infield, outfield. That's never a good sign.
Oh, you know they don't know what to do with you yet if you're infield, outfield.
Chuck Finley for the Angels. I remember watching him pitch.
Boy, those cards like to stick.
Yeah, well, this is interesting because nowadays, if you get a backwards card in the set, it usually means it's a good, it's at least an insert or something better than the normal card. This one's just backwards, but it's Dante. Yep.
It's a good player.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good player for a rock. We love Dante Bichette here in Colorado. He was definitely a fan favorite here.
He's first on the wall, and if you notice, he is up against the ivy. So
that is a good picture because the ivy is iconic. Dante Bichette is iconic for Colorado.
Holy cow!
Homage to Harry Carey at Wrigley Field. And we'll end this one on Roger Cedeno. I think, if I remember right, wasn't Roger Cedeno kind of a character?
I can't remember if he was, but it sounds like he was. I can't remember Roger Cedeno because all I can think of is Andahar Cedeno.
Also, in 2019, the packs are incredibly easy to open in comparison. So they've changed their technology. All right, you got Jose Martinez for the Cardinals, Rick Porcello for the Red Sox. I remember him. He was a good pitcher. But in those days, the Red Sox had great pitching because I'm pretty sure they had Sale, they had him. I think David Price came back or was still around.
Yeah, that team was definitely expected to compete for the championship.
Hey, it's another Will for the Giants.
Yeah, but that's not Will Clark.
Indeed.
I noticed on one of your shorts you came up with a Will Clark there, and it's like, I'm going, throw that card out.
150 years of fun with Ronald Acuna Jr.
Wow, he's that old?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he's been around for a while now.
Man, he's springy for 150.
And he's going to go on the wall because I really like him. D. Gordon, who didn't he?
Look at his designation: outfield or second base.
Didn't he change his name to Flash, or I think he changed his name to something?
See, now that it's like you got to give people credit for. It's like, well, it says his name is D. Strange Gordon.
Oh, Strange. That's right. He changed it to Strange.
It's like, well, his real name was Davaris or Davaris D. Strange Gordon. I would have stuck with Davaris.
And we got Evan Longoria, who at that time was playing for the Giants. He'd been around for a while.
He was actually a very good player for a good amount of time, but that's definitely towards the end of Longoria's career.
Yeah, because I remember he was one of like the poster childs of the cover guy for MLB baseball back when it was 2K. Maybe 2012, I think. And then end that one on Aledmus Diaz as an Astro. I don't remember him as an Astro. Oh, come on. See, the packs were just so much easier to open.
I mean, Evan Longoria, he was a 3-time Gold Glove winner.
Ooh, that's a good one to start out that pack on.
Boy, isn't it?
Reggie boy.
You got to figure, because at that point, Greg Maddux is probably very close to the end of his. Well, wait, this is the 2000 set, so no, he's not. He's still in his prime.
We got our closer, Randy.
Oh yeah, one of the elites.
Mariano. Oh, come on. Mariano's gonna stay. He's gonna be in our All-Star team this week. We haven't talked about the Sandman yet. He's gonna stay there. Nobody's gonna knock him. Oh my gosh. How funny.
No, there's not a. Here's the thing. I don't think that there's a closer in the history of baseball that can knock off Mariano Rivera. There's just nobody better.
I remember seeing a documentary on, or maybe an interview, I should say, on with him, and they were asking him like, "Do you know?" Because he used to walk out to Enter Sandman, and he's like, "Do you know what that song's about?" And he was just like, "No, they just picked it for me." Well, then you got Roger Clemens, and I feel like Greg, Roger.
I don't know if we've ever had a Clemens. I don't know if we've ever had him to be talked about.
I believe we have, but when you look at Roger Clemens versus Greg Maddux, I mean, I think Roger's gonna take the place. Pat Hankins he's not gonna knock off anybody, but
no, but he wasn't a bad pitcher. I mean, Pat Henkin was definitely solid. I think he was part of some of those championship teams that Toronto had.
you got Sam.
Yeah, he got a World Series in '93. He had 131 wins in his career, so
Not bad. You got Sandy Alomar. Brian Jordan, outfielder for the.
If you're going to get a late '90s, early 2000s card, Brian Jordan's going to be in there somewhere.
Of course he will. There's your favorite guy.
There's a player that I like even less than Matt Williams or Will Clark. It's Derek Jeter.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my stands are not cooperating today.
They're not staying. See, their stand will not stand for Derek Jeter. Don't be surprised if that stand just randomly falls over again.
All righty. We're going to start out with Ozzy Albies on the 2019. That's a cool picture, the zoomed in.
He goes, and that's before they made the big base, or the base is bigger.
Gregory Polanco for the Pirates. Ooh, there's our. Should we put him at first base?
I feel like we can find a first baseman or a DH pretty easy. So, hey, he deserves to be on the wall. You're talking about top 3 all time in home runs. One of the
Well,
best hitters to ever hit.
and just first ballot Hall of Famer, even though.
Oh, absolutely. He was so good for so long. I have no problem. To me, see, a guy like that, to me, he should be 100% of the vote because there's no doubt with his numbers, he was amazing.
And you got team traditions and celebrations, Tony Gwynn statue. They're at Petco Park.
At least it looks like Tony Gwynn a little bit.
Yeah, pretty neat.
Some chunky bronze.
Got Billy Hamilton for the Royals. Jose Abreu, always a good player for the White Sox. And then we got Dansby Swanson, who was
Look at him. Look at him. The thing is, it's like he's sitting there going, I'm number 1, while he's on his butt.
Right. I think these were I can't remember. I know there was like a pointing thing like with the 2019 opening day where they had like a run of players pointing, and I don't remember, but I'll put that one off to the side because that might be a variation card. Sometimes it's hard to keep track of the different variations in Topps cards. You got Troy O'Leary, who I don't remember at all.
I remember he was a decent player. I mean, he didn't light the world on fire, but he was a decent player for them.
Kevin Young for the Pirates. Got some sticky ones here. Ooh, Jim Edmonds. So I think he was in one of our All-Star teams, wasn't he?
He was in an All-Star team that had, I think it was like him and Luis Gonzalez, and can't remember who the other one was. The other one might have been a super great, but him and Luis Gonzalez. I remember I said because Jim Edmonds and Tim Salmon, for some reason, I would always get them mixed up. Because to me, they seemed like the exact same player.
Right.
And they both played for the Angels.
I'm not ready to put him in the outfield yet. He can sit to the side. We got Billy Wagner, who I always like.
See, and there's the thing. That guy didn't he just go into the Hall of Fame, or wasn't he just voted in, Billy Wagner?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think Billy Wagner was just voted in. I'm going to check that. Because there were some people that were wondering if he would actually get in. Billy the Kid. See, it shouldn't tell me here pretty. Yes, 82% of the vote, his 10th ballot, but he was inducted in 2025.
Excellent.
But still not better than Mariano Rivera.
No, and I liked watching Billy Wagner. I was an Astros fan, so. Then you got Paul O'Neill.
See, that is a guy that does not get enough credit for that Yankees dynasty.
Right.
In the 90s. Paul O'Neill was just one of the most, him and Andy Pettitte to me were probably the 2 real MVPs after Mariano Rivera, because they were both just always so solid. They would never let you down in those runs.
Boy, I tell you what, Randy, this always happens every single time. You ready for this?
Oh, jeez. Oh, we have had one heck of a pitching run, Could you imagine a starting rotation that's Randy Johnson, Roger Clemens, and Greg Maddux?
With your closer as Mariano Rivera? Like, come
geez.
on.
That team's winning every single game it plays.
They're both going on the stand. Randy Johnson's bigger, so he's going on the front, but so I think Albert's going to go as our DH because we got Big Mac.
Look at it. It's like he's trying to cover up the little. That guy's like holding onto his arm where he's like, I'm trying to cover up the hole where the steroid needle was put in. I don't want that to be on camera, Mark.
Big guy, you can't flex right there. Come on, dude.
Yeah. It's like, what's wrong with you, man? It's like a little bit of blood spurts out. What did he just have blood drawn or something?
Sean Manea for the Athletics, who I used to put in my fantasy lineups a lot because he was a solid pitcher.
And probably not very expensive to have in the lineup.
Nope. Carlos Correa. Who's he playing? I just saw he's playing for maybe the Twins.
Well, let us find out. Carlos, let's see if you were correct. But they don't want to give me, they don't want to. Obviously, Carlos Correa is not. So does Carlos Correa spell his name weird or something?
It's Correa.
It's like, come on, Carlos, just pop up here for me. There's a lot of Carlos Carreras. He just, yeah, you are correct. He's played for the Twins since 2022.
Yeah, because he was with the Astros for a while.
Yes, he is. He won a World Series in 2017 with them. Three-time All-Star.
I remember
and the AL Rookie of the Year.
Luis Severino was just a big dude. He's a monster.
Supposed to be better than he ended up actually being.
Yep. Hey, we got a mascot. Pause for the...
That's not Dinger.
It's not Dinger, but guess what? He's going on the stand. We've never had a mascot card, so... There was another guy, Benintendi. He was a good outfielder. I don't know. He wasn't like... he was always decent. Pretty well, I'll say better than decent. He was above average.
You know what? It looks like he's trying to run up the wall if you look at that picture. It looks like he's...
Yeah, but he was like
trying to run up.
It's funny with the picture, but he wasn't. He was just jumping. But then you got Alex Bregman,
who is no longer an Astro.
Yeah, he's a Yankee, I think.
No, he's a Sox.
Oh, did he go to the Sox?
He plays for the Red Sox. Him and Trevor Story.
Hey, there he is.
Look at that. That's even a sign that Kyle Freeland should have pitched more than 67 pitches in that first game so the bullpen couldn't blow it for him.
There was one of the years, it was either 2018 maybe. I don't remember off the top of my head, but Kyle Freeland, it was the year that he had his Cy Young. He was at least in the running for the Cy Young. He had, that was just an incredible year for him. And anyway, they went to Tampa, and it was when Blake Snell was like just up and coming as a star. And Kyle Freeland pitched almost like step for step with Blake Snell. And it was funny because they were like, you could just see they were both just like trying to outdo each other. They were strikeouts. I think they both had like double-digit strikeouts that game. It was a fun game to watch.
And yet we still don't have a Cy Young winner here in Colorado.
Oh, but I still think he should have won that year because he had a sub-3 ERA and pitched most of his games at not most, but he pitched a lot of games at Coors Field, which I still remain. If you can pitch a lot of games at Coors Field and have a sub 2 ERA, you should be Cy Young candidate every time, because if it's a hitter's park and the knock goes against the hitters for that, shouldn't the pitchers get extra points if they can keep their ERA down below 2? Come on.
Yeah. Below, yeah.
Nomar.
I always liked Nomar because I hated Jeter, so I liked Nomar better.
Then you got Sean Casey for the Reds. Oh, man. Doc.
Now he's a former like Colorado high school pitcher, isn't he?
Yeah.
Wasn't Roy Halladay a former? He pitched here in Colorado in high school.
Yep. And just a stud of a pitcher. And then you got Wally Joyner. Oh, man, look at that. We got.
Holy crap, we almost have an all outfield that's Rockies.
You know what? Because we're from Colorado, he's going to go right there. And guess what? He's an Hall of Famer, so I don't want to hear anything from anybody.
That's Hall of Famer Larry Walker.
John Olerud, one of my all-time favorites. And Brian Giles. He was I remember him he was just one of those like dirt worker outfielders.
Yeah, I mean Brian Giles was a grinder. He definitely kept his career going for quite a while. I mean, it's like Giles was. I wonder how many years he actually played. Let's find out. Brian Giles played for 15 seasons. 2-time All-Star.
Yep. We're gonna start this pack out with Zach Godley, which is a tough name. It's a tough name to fulfill.
So should his middle name be Ain't? Because I don't remember him being that good. Or Zach isn't Godly?
Jake Arrieta as a Philly.
You know what it makes me think of? The Ghostbusters thing where it's like, if somebody asks if you're a god, you say yes.
Jake Arrieta, who should hit home for you because he was a Cub.
He was a Cubby.
And a fairly good one at that.
But he was a Cubby more after, the Harry Carey days and after I was already a Rockies fan because we got our own team. I still root for the Cubs. I loved it when they finally won the World Series in, what was that, 2016?
Yep. And you got Mike Foltynewicz. See, I was paying attention in these years because I can actually pronounce that name.
I'm going to tell you right now. It's like I did not know how to pronounce that name because I had never heard that name before.
You got 150 Years of Fun with Ernie Banks. That's a cool one. Well, I don't think we're going to put Ernie up there, but
no, but it's like let people know. We understand that Ernie Banks was one of the greatest players to ever play the game. Definitely one of the all-time Cubbies, that's for sure.
I feel like Bryce Harper, he'd be a good candidate for the outfield.
You know what? I always thought Bryce Harper would be a great Rocky. But we never brought him here. But I thought Bryce Harper would be a great Rocky. He just seems like a Rockies player.
Kikuchi, you say Kikuchi. I read that backwards, but
yeah.
Rookie card.
Actually, but in Europe and in Japan, it's like Kikuchi Yusei would be, they pronounce the last name first, and so you actually did it the Japanese way.
Well, there you go. And then we got Charlie Blackman. Look at that. We're getting tons of Rockies
Put him
this
in
week.
the outfield. Put him in the outfield. He's also another fan favorite.
Oh, yeah. Chuck Nasty. He was, when he came out, he was doing so well. I was like, they got themselves a stud. And then he hurt his foot right away.
Yep. But the thing is, he could have went in the outfield. That'd be an all Rockies outfield. That'd be Walker, in right. In left, you would have Bichette, and in center, you'd have Charlie Blackman.
And you got Corey Dickerson, who was a former Rocky at this point, and he always used to crack me up because he was he loved, when the pitcher throws and they bounce the ball to home, he would always he would swing at those pitches. It was the darndest thing to see because the ball's bouncing off the ground and he would hit at it. I'm like, nobody does that.
You know why he does that? He wanted to play golf.
Just couldn't
or
make
cricket.
it.
Maybe he's formerly a cricket player.
Xander Bogaerts, good shortstop for the Sox.
Here's the fun part. When I started playing MLB The Show like 2023. It's like I went and mixed up all the rosters and redrafted everything. I gave Xander Bogaerts to the Colorado Rockies. He was a very good home run hitter for us.
I bet he was. Got Derek Rodriguez with some pretty epic hair. How funny. 100 Years of Fun, Ted Williams with a fishing pole in his hand. That's different.
Thing is, the thing I always missed about Ted Williams was, of course, the last guy to hit 400. But he lost some years because of the war in the 40s.
Yep.
Because of World War II, he lost some years. And it's too bad because he was a player that is probably one of the top 5 players to ever play this game. But he lost like 3 or 4 years of his career to the war.
Then you go to another. This is a lot of Rockies. We never see this, but David Dahl, who was another fan.
He was not good.
He was fast, but he got hurt every 2 seconds.
Oh, so he was Chris Bryant before Chris Bryant?
Basically.
Except we didn't pay him anything?
I didn't dislike David Dahl, though.
Yeah, no, I didn't dislike him either. He just never was healthy.
Matt Chapman, another one of the A's that I used to roster a lot because he was pretty good and pretty solid. And Michael Conforto for the Mets, who actually I kind of liked. That was back when the Mets were kind of trying to stay relevant, and they had a group of outfielders that were pretty good.
See, that name Conforto, the funny part about that name Conforto is that there was a guy in Vegas in like the 70s and 80s. He owned the Mustang Ranch, which of course is an infamous place where gentlemen go. And I think his name was Neil Conforto. And I guess he used to do, it's like he put his Mustang Ranch in 3 buildings that were 3 counties intersected. So if any police would try to come and shut them down, like they would be from a certain county, he would just move everybody to a different building so that it's like, well, we got nothing going on in your county. You got to leave. So, and he ended up like money laundering and all this stuff. And he ended up having to go to Brazil, because no extradition treaty with them. And it was also at one point, the FBI was trying to sell, so the FBI had seized the Mustang Ranch and they were trying to sell the property. So at one point, the United States government owned a brothel.
Nice.
And was actually operating it.
All right, we are in need of a second baseman and a third baseman, and we got Carlos Rodon. Oh, and a catcher, which we just found ours, but I gotta add.
Yadier.
I gotta put some more stands in. We may not see them on this screen, but
Oh, you got to have a catcher. One of the all-time best catchers is a good one to have.
Yachty.
The only catcher I think I'd put above Yadier Molina would probably be a guy like Ivan Rodriguez or Johnny Bench, somebody like that.
Yeah, but Yachty is just, I mean, he was
Yeah. Yachty is, and he was clutch. He was a clutch hitter for them, too.
played forever, prototypical baseball guy.
And he will be a Hall of Famer if he is not already a Hall of Famer.
I think he's got a few more, at least one
I
or
think
two
he
more
does too,
years.
because I think he
yeah.
retired recently.
Got Francisco Lindor. Ooh, the Indians mascot. Slider.
So does the Guardians mascot look exactly like that, or did they change?
Todd Frazier, he was a big fan favorite.
Down goes Frazier.
Jonathan Villar. And then we're going to end on David.
You know what? It's funny. It looks like he's throwing as a pitcher, but he was a second baseman.
David Peralta for the Diamondbacks. And we'll start this next 2000 pack off with an unfocused for some reason or another. Come on, camera. I know you don't like the shiny cards. I get it. There we go. It's Raul Mondesi.
He was quite a big deal for the Dodgers for 5 or 6 years.
Yep. Damian Easley, who I don't remember.
Oh yeah, I remember. I definitely remember Damian Easley. I think he was part of those. He was a part of a lot of those Yankees good teams, but he wasn't the star. But he was solid.
Then we got Magic Moments, the 3000th hit from Tony Gwynn. That's a cool one. I like that.
And look at him. He's just sitting there going, look at that. Oh my God, right back to back. What's the odds of that happening?
Well, there's
we don't have a third baseman yet, do we?
We don't. I was just gonna say, there's our third baseman, Mr. Wade Boggs. And we got Greg Vaughn. That was kind of interesting. 2 inserts in one pack.
Yeah, and it's like especially both for the same achievement.
Yeah. We got Troy Glaus. How funny. You just talked about him.
Yep, I said the only guy that's better than Yadier is Ivan Rodriguez. Well, a couple of guys, but Ivan Rodriguez is definitely
Pudge.
It's like you're talking one of the all-time, because he could hit and field.
We're gonna, you know what? We're gonna put those both on the stand. I might go back through.
I wonder if both of them threw it over the 30 to 33% runners out.
All right, we're going to start off with, my camera is struggling, Jose Leclerc. Even from 2019.
The funny part is there's a Ferrari driver named Leclerc.
Even from 2019, I do not remember this guy.
No. And it's like, and all I can think of is it's like, I can't remember if they call him Leclerc or Leclerc. I think it's Leclerc. But it's like he drives for Ferrari. Now he has a teammate, Lewis Hamilton, who has 7 career championships to his name. I don't think Leclerc is going to be the number 1 driver there with Lewis Hamilton, but oh well.
Kristen Stewart, this is a rookie card, and I don't remember this guy either.
No, I wonder if Mark would remember him, because he's a big Tigers fan, so he might remember him, but I don't.
Then we got a blue foil, so we actually got a blue insert of a Sox pitcher, Michael Kopech.
Everybody plays for the Sox at some point. Not everybody, but a lot of people play for the White Sox at some point. That's what I notice whenever I do these things. It's like, oh, he had 1 year with the White Sox.
And then we got 150 Years of Fun with Mike Trout. Great baseball player.
So what they mean is 150 games of fun in the last 3 years for Mike Trout.
Correct.
Because that's what he's played in the last 3 years is 150 games.
Edwin Diaz, Mitch Garver, and Orlando Arcia, shortstop for the Brew Crew.
He's got to be better than Jeter. Put him up there.
Yeah, I know how you feel, but
I guarantee you he hasn't made more errors than Jeter because his career's been a lot shorter.
The players we hate.
Yeah, that's a joke of a player right there.
Anthony Rendon.
He's exactly like who was the big defensive tackle that the Redskins signed back in the day? I can picture him, but he got the big contract and then he just became lazy.
Oh, it happens.
And it's like, and that's what Rendon is. It's like he's just that guy who finally got the big payday, and then it's like he's just absolutely worthless.
We got Josh James, rookie.
Not worth the money anyway. I'm sure he still does something, but definitely not worth the money they paid him.
Opening day for the Toronto Blue Jays. That's a cool picture.
It's at the Sky Dome or Rogers Field or whatever they're calling it.
Cole Calhoun. He was another roster guy for me on the Daily Fantasy because he was always pretty good for getting you a couple runs and points.
Albert Hainsworth. That was his name. Hainsworth.
There he is. Javi Baez.
So Javi Baez was not a Tiger at this time.
No, he was a Cubby. And
he was still a Cubby, and he was still revered.
And then you got Ryan Zimmerman, first base for the Nationals. I never liked Javi Baez, even as a Cub.
Oh, there were a lot of people though that did like Javi Baez, and even when he got the contract, it's like the Tigers thought they were getting a really good player, and it never panned out. If you can throw a slider down and away, Javi Baez will swing at it.
Matt Kemp was another guy who used to kill the Rockies when he would come here. And then he came to Colorado and
he still killed the Rockies.
Yep. Just like Ian Desmond. Christian Yelich, who was a pretty good player back in those days for the Brew Crew. Raisel Iglesias, pitcher for the Reds. And then we got 150 Years of Fun, Tom Seaver.
He looks like he's having fun, doesn't he? Look at the smile.
Yeah,
he's just going,
smile.
yeah, it's like, I'm having a good time here.
Ryan Yarbrough, all-star rookie, who I think, if I remember right, ended up being an opener. Do you remember that little period in time where they were using the first inning opener?
Oh, I hated that. The one inning guy, it's like out of the bullpen, and then they put in the starter. Yep. I still hate that strategy.
Yeah, it's ugh.
The Tigers were doing it still a little bit last year.
You got Jordan Zimmerman for the Tigers. A lot of Tigers, a lot of Rockies in these. And then you got George Springer. Oh, the Astros.
That's a good action shot right there. Look at that.
The Astros cheating scandal was another one that got me kind of sour on baseball.
Hey, they were just playing the drums on some trash cans. It's not their fault that it happened to coincide with certain pitches.
Yeah. They should have vacated those World Series for that World Series.
Well, technically it wasn't against the rules to bang on a trash can yet, so...
Yeah, but it was against the rules to use a camera to see. Hey! There's our guy. Another Rocky.
He doesn't want to focus, though.
Well, it's because he's a giant in this one. And I didn't even...
Because he realized that he should have never left the Rockies.
Come on, camera. What the... It's not going to focus on Ellis. There he goes. All right. There's Ellis.
That's definitely more towards the end of Ellis's career,
Yeah,
but
he's a little big.
Ellis Burks was a good guy.
He's a little bit.
He played with the Blake Street Bombers.
He's a little bit chunkier in this picture.
Yeah, he's a little chunkier.
Tim Hudson for the A's. Oh.
Sammy, say it ain't Sosa.
I don't think we've ever pulled a Sosa.
We've never pulled a Sosa. Ever.
Wow.
That is so weird that we've done this for as long as we have, and we have never pulled a Sosa.
I'm sorry, Acuna. You haven't been around long enough to get the outfield spot. Sammy's going in.
Holy cow!
Big Sammy Sosa. Hey, Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire are on this team.
Yep. Now
they're going to reinvigorate baseball.
Now all we need is Barry Bonds, and we've got the
yeah, because we got Roger Clemens. So all we need is Barry Bonds.
We got Doug Meant. Yeah, I don't even want to try it because I don't know how to say his name.
Doug Mankiewicz.
Mankiewicz. All right.
Yep. Doug Mankiewicz. I do remember hearing that name.
And then you got Ray Ordonez.
I want to say former Cub Ray Ordonez.
Look at another Rocky, Navy Perez, who was one of my favorite shortstops.
I really, really liked Navy Perez.
And I still remember.
I mean, he was I wish we had never gotten rid of him.
Navy Perez made it on ESP or Sports Center's top play of the day. And no Rocky was ever on play of the day. But it was a barehanded catch at shortstop, like a bouncer. And he just snatched it out of the air with his bare hand and threw the guy out. It was a cool play, and rightfully so, made it to ESPN. But it was just like, oh, wow, a Rocky actually made it to ESPN.
There have been a lot of Rockies in these packs. It's fun to see.
Yeah. Then we got Ben Grieve for the Athletics. We timed that out perfectly. Look at that. Last pack of the day. Focus. There we go. We got Tommy Pham as a Ray. He kind of bounced around a lot. Got Daniel Palka for the White Sox. There's Blake Snell. He was
there's Blake Snell. Put him with Freeland. They could have a battle again.
He was really good when he first came out. I mean, he was a stud pitcher.
I think Snell is a Dodger now, isn't he? I think he pitched yesterday or the day before.
I was thinking Padres, but maybe he did go to the Dodgers.
Yeah, I think he's because it's like, of course, I'm hearing about all this because, of course, the Tigers are playing against the Dodgers, and it's like the Tigers fan that we know. It's like his team keeps getting killed by the Dodgers. But didn't play in that game.
We got another mascot for the Cardinals, Fred Bird.
Fred Bird, huh?
Fred Bird. Lorenzo Cain for the Brew Crew. Tyler Glasnow, who I believe, I feel like I remember him as a Pirate. I don't know if he went to the Pirates, if he started with the Pirates, but I could be mistaken.
Yeah, Blake Snell pitched on the 27th, technically the third game of the season for the Dodgers. but he did pitch against the Tigers. He got the win against Tarek Skubal, the Cy Young Award winner in the American League.
Man, I tell you what, that Dodgers team is just insane. Just the amount of money going around in there.
Yeah, but I don't like the Dodgers. I don't like the Yankees, but I will say I like it when a team will spend the money and try to build a winner. It's like because we root for a team that spends no money and is happy if their team doesn't lose 100 games.
Well, and then if they do spend money, they spend it in the dumbest way possible.
Yeah, spend it on even where layman's that, are not baseball experts know that you've made a bad decision.
Right. Yes, we're talking about you, Chris Bryant.
We're still angry about it. Even he could go away and we're always going to be angry about the Chris Bryant signing. And people out there are going to go, but he's a good guy. But you're not a Rockies fan. And maybe you were a Cubs fan. But
we're going to end this one on Jake Bauers for the Indians. And I know they're the Guardians, but in this sense, they're the Indians. So that's what I'm saying. And I like the picture. It's really cool. It's got the ball right there about to hit the bat, which to me looks like a ground ball. But,
Or he's gonna. It looks like he's gonna kind of top over it because it looks like the ball's kind of going. It's going on a downward trajectory, so he's gonna kind of top it over and foul it off.
Yeah. Either way, it's not going very far.
No, it is not. You can tell that easily.
All right. Well, that was all the packs I had for opening day, but it was fun. Got to see a lot of different players from the two eras.
You know what would be cool to see though is if they took every picture that they took, they had the context with the picture so that you knew what was, Larry Walker. Was he watching a home run or was he watching a foul ball as he's, hitting that? It's like, it would just be nice to know the moment in time that happened when they took that particular picture. I know they take hundreds and hundreds of pictures of these players, but it would just be nice to know maybe the moment in time that happened when they took the picture.
Like Randy Johnson there, was that a half a second before he exploded a bird? Come on, that's one. Did he
explode the bird with the Diamondbacks?
I can't remember. I believe
he would have had to because with Seattle they were in the Kingdome or whatever, I think, and I don't think he played at the outside park in Seattle.
Well, but he could have been at a different field, but
that's true. He could have been on the road like in Atlanta or something.
But no, I just remember seeing that clip and just being like, that is the most insane thing I've ever seen. And it was maybe one of the more iconic moments of baseball. Just the odds of that happening, just that bird being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Well, here's the funny part. I've seen two birds explode in sports. Of course, Randy Johnson's bird explosion, and then watching, I think it was the Daytona 500, and Dale Earnhardt was in the lead, driving down the backstretch, and a bird flew in front of his car, and it exploded on the front of his car, and actually a part of the bird got stuck to the car and was ruining his aerodynamics because a part of this bird was stuck to the car.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
And it's like, and the cameras, of course, they have to watch the leader and they have to watch the race, so they're watching Dale Earnhardt with this part of a bird still stuck to his car.
I like it. It's just, those moments, and you got the game, and then you got what comes with the game, and that's just, it's like you see in the movies where the concessions guy gets hit with a foul ball and throws his tray of beer up, and it lands all over everybody, or popcorn. Those are the memories of the baseball game that just it sticks with you.
Oh, I mean, I still remember the guy he's holding I think he was holding his kid in one hand and holding a beer in the other, and a ball was coming right at him, And it's like, and you're sitting there going, he's going to try to catch that ball. I hope he doesn't drop the kid to catch the ball. But he does. He instinctively drops the beer and catches the ball, but holds on to the kid. So
Yep.
it's moments like that that are just, it's like you're going, he's got a decision to make, and you hope he makes the right one.
Well, and as a kid, especially as a kid, because it's so cool you're at a Major League Baseball game and you got all these things going on, and yeah, you maybe seen them on TV, but when you go to the game for the first time and you got the sound and the smells and it's hot out and you're watching your team play and your favorite player comes up and you hear that intro music on the loudspeaker, and there's just so much I'm trying to think of the word, but it's just like it kind of ingrains itself into you, and that's why baseball to me is still one of the it's one of the greatest games that I like to watch because of that. I can still remember going to those games, and maybe not the Rockies so much, but back when I was growing up, I remember the Sky Sox. You got to see the Sky Sox play because it was cheap, and you could occasionally see a player that the Rockies might bring up eventually.
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember when it's like, because before we had a major league team, we had the Denver Bears / Denver Zephyrs, and every once in a while you get to see the guy that was going to get brought up to the Milwaukee Brewers, from our farm team, and and watching a game at Mile High Stadium with a really short left field because you can only move those stands so far back at Mile High. It was just, I mean, I remember watching the first, I think I was not at opening day, but the second day of our, my grandfather took me to see our second game ever at Mile High Stadium. And I mean, there were just so many people. There was like 70,000 plus people at that game, and everybody's excited about the Rockies. And, we're seeing Galarraga and Eric Young and guys like that. And we're just it's a brand new thing because now we're watching Major League Baseball, and Rockies fans, I mean Colorado fans, were excited. I mean they didn't know if we'd support baseball very well. We've supported it pretty dang well in the 30 years plus that we've had our franchise. Even though our ownership doesn't always reward us for our loyalty to them.
No doubt. And hopefully, looking at these older cards mixed with the newer cards, it's kind of weird to see the different players together. But I hope that if you watch this and you see it, you might get taken back to the year 2000 when you went to a baseball game and you think about what it was like to sit there and watch a game and just take it all in. And maybe your team won on a walk-off. Maybe your team lost horribly. But either way, it's those moments in time that really make the game special. And I think that gets lost, when you get caught up in everything else. You keep it with you. It's fun. It's a good memory to have.
Well, I've got some bad minutes. I'll do this one real quick. Me and my dad went to see a Cubs game against the Rockies at Coors, and we're sitting out there in left field. And the Rockies were up big. I can't remember what it was. It was either 9-2 or it was a big number. We were up by like 7 runs going into the 8th. And so my dad and I thought, well, we'll beat the traffic out. The Rockies have got this one. You know what happens at the end of a game. Everybody's just free swinging and nothing really happens. Well, my dad turns on the radio just to hear what happens at the end of the game, and the Cubs came back and won that game from being 7 runs down. And they won that game by 1 run. And it was like, that's nuts.
Well, what sucks is I have that exact same story, Randy. There seems to be a trend in there that's not great.
Yeah. Yeah, give it to the bullpen and watch it burn.
The game I went and saw was against the Diamondbacks, but yeah, it was like we left early because this game's over. We'll beat the traffic. Nope, they lost. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And you always, you feel bad, but then you're also kind of happy at the same time because you go, you know what, at least I didn't sit in the stands and watch that misery because I'd have been so angry. I remember being angry in the car just hearing about all the hits that they were getting. It's like I'd have been and we were sitting really close to some Cubs fans who were pretty mouthy early until we started scoring runs. I could imagine how mouthy they would have been at that point.
Oh, yeah, just terrible.
So it was, there's a part of you that you're glad you weren't there for that because it was history in the wrong way for, giving up 7 runs in 2 innings or whatever, 7 or 8 runs. Not something you really want to watch as a Rockies fan.
No, but sadly, you kind of expected.
Yep.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I think that'll wrap it up for us this week on Packs for Breakfast. I had a really good time opening these packs. I might maybe go to another opening day box. That was fun. We'll see. I haven't decided what next week's going to be. We change it up. I didn't get to finish my Warren Spawn puzzle, so there's a chance we're going to go back to 1989 Donruss if I can find some, because I'm only 4 pieces away, and that's just too close to let it go. I got to get those 4 pieces.
It's like you got to finish the puzzle. Finish the puzzle.
Yeah, got to finish it. It's just staring at me on my desk, and I'm like, 4 pieces? Come on, you can do this. And he actually is staring at me right now because his eyes move everywhere you go. It's one of those types of stares.
Isn't it the 4 pieces on the right, the bottom right, that you're missing?
Yeah, it's like 1 on the top right and then 3 in the middle right. But it's 4 pieces. We can do this. So if I can find some, we might go back to 1989. We've got some other stuff we can do. I will probably try and get some 2025 here pretty soon just so we can talk about the new guys. But they're just getting started. And hopefully everybody is excited that baseball is back. I know that I'm pretty excited. It's fun to get back and watch some games. Take a second, listen to one on the radio if you can't watch it. I like listening on the radio. It reminds me of my younger days when that's how I used to consume a lot of my baseball because we didn't have cable or the ability to watch the game. So radio was always fun for me, but hopefully everybody enjoys it. And your team's not out yet. Just remember that. They're not mathematically eliminated. So hope is still there. So, well, Randy, thanks for everybody for watching. Check us out on our short videos. Randy does videos every week as well. They are very stat heavy, wonderful videos, and he changes it up every week. Last week was March Madness tournament kind of deal, so it was fun to watch. I do short videos during the week, so if you like a quick hitter on a pack, check that out. Like, subscribe, it's all free. Anything you do helps us trying to push up that subscriber count. So, we're not begging, but it's free, guys. Come on. So, any last words, Randy?
Go Rockies. If they can win today, they'll be above 500.
That's all we ask for as a Rockies fan. Just be over 500. That's all we ask.
Just be over 500. Let's break that string.
All right. Well, for me and Randy, thanks everybody for watching. We will see you all next week, and enjoy this week of baseball.